folks. How's it going? So Stoudman coming back at you for another movie marathon. My very own Western movie marathon. It's been a while, I know. It's been a while. In fact, it's been approximately 1 year since I did my first movie marathon. So welcome back. Shut up, phone. Anyways, I'm going to go through a lot of westerns today. I'm going to follow the guidelines that I've set forth, but chances are I'm going to watch more than one spaghetti western. Just so we're clear here. But yeah, the first one I'm going to be watching is Once Upon a Time in the West. One of the greats. And of course, I'm watching it on Blu-ray on my new 1080p HDTV. Now, allow me to show you that TV. There she is, in all her fabulous glory, ready to play the first movie of the day. And I don't know if you can see that clock, but it says 1:28 in the afternoon. So I'm going to start at 1:30, and we're going to get this show on the road. The TV is a 39-inch 1080p TCL, which is probably a brand most of you are not familiar with, but you gotta trust me when I say it's alright. It's not the best out there, but it came with a 2-year warranty. And it has a Samsung screen. So, at the very least, I'm getting a good quality view with my off-brand TV. And I'm actually very happy with it to this point. It's like an amazing, amazing upgrade from what I have or had, and it's just a great TV all around. I really was surprised to find that out. So anyways, let's get the show on the road with Once Upon a Time in the West. I figured I should look a little scruffy for a Western movie marathon. Kind of like Clint Eastwood in some of his better-known roles. But anyways, I digress. I just got done watching Once Upon a Time in the West, and it was awesome as usual. Now, the thing about Once Upon a Time in the West for me is that before I saw this movie, well, to be specific, before I saw the intro to this movie, I really was not very interested in westerns at all. I guess at the time I didn't like westerns. I didn't think they were good, and I don't know, they just weren't for me, so to speak, is what I thought, you know. And so I went on believing that until I got really interested in film, and eventually started taking some film classes, which is where in one of those classes where I saw the intro to Once Upon a Time in the West for the first time. They showed the intro. It wasn't even, they weren't even really intending to. It was more like somebody in class wanted to show what a Western was like. And the teacher was like, well, yeah, you do need an understanding of that. And so the student brought in the DVD, and we watched the intro just for the hell of it. Just for the hell of it. And I was sold. Based on that intro alone, I was sold, because that is just an amazing introduction to a movie, period, bar none. The one thing that stuck with me then and continues to stick with me now is the sounds. The sounds of the water droplets hitting the guy's head and then hitting his hat. the sound of him sipping the water from the brim of his hat, the sound of the fly, the sound of the ticker tape, the sound of the door, kind of the wind of the door, the wind blowing the door and the door creaking. The sound of the creaking windmill, which honestly to me sounds a little bit like the harmonica. Um, the sound of that one guy cracking his knuckles and putting uh, his hand in the horse trough. You know, just all this tension building sound. Just because you know you're building up to something. But really, what I really liked about it the most when I saw that was just the very idea that you don't need music, that you don't need to hand feed people, you know, a story right away. That literally there's very little dialogue at all in the opening scene, particularly none at all from the main characters until you hear that harmonica. You know what I mean? Just an amazing opening sequence, and yet so much is told in that one little sequence. He traps the fly in his gun. It's just, it's an amazing film. It's an amazing introduction to westerns, I would say. It's not like I had never seen a western before then. I'd seen mostly western comedies before then. I don't know if I had seen any or cared to see any actual westerns, like serious westerns before then. But once I had seen that intro, I knew I had to see the rest of it, particularly because my friend Dallin kept suggesting it to me. Dallin, he knows a lot about westerns. His favorite genre. I knew that he was a fan of that movie because at the time his ringtone was the harmonica theme. Or maybe not his ringtone. I think it was his alarm. That's right. He used it to wake up. He woke up to that. Isn't that interesting? Yep. He actually lives like near Monument Valley. He lives near all the places where movies like this were shot and made possible, where John Ford made his freaking living, where westerns, in a large sense, were born. Um, I don't care what you say in terms of genre. Um, for the western, location is absolutely important. It's absolutely integral to understanding, you know, what made this genre what it was. And that's something I learned in one of my later classes, which was like a 400/500 level class, a high level class on film genre. We talked about the Western, and one of the main aspects of the Western that we talked about was the fact that, you know, the scenery and the way that it's shot and the cinematography and everything is very much a part of the Western and very much a part of what makes it a Western, so to speak. So when you see Monument Valley, when you see all of these, you know, places that, you know, in that area where John Ford used to, used to make all those movies, where all those well-known, well-respected westerns and well-respected films were shot. That is an integral part of what makes the Western the Western. Now, does that mean that you can't have a Western that's set somewhere else? No. Does that mean that, you know, it's not a Western if it's not set in Monument Valley? No. But that type of scenery started somewhere, and, you know, this is part of where it started. Granted, this is a later Western, 1968. Oh, wait. Well, it says 1969 here, but I'm pretty sure it's actually 1968. Anyway, great movie. I guess that's my spaghetti western, although I'm pretty sure I'll watch some more spaghetti westerns. I haven't quite decided what to watch next, but I'm thinking 310 to Yuma because, well, there are a lot of, there's a lot of callbacks to this particular movie, I feel like, in that movie. I'm referring, of course, to the new movie, the new 310 to Yuma, not the original, the remake with Russell Crowe. I really like the remake. A lot of people don't, or a lot of people think it's not as good or whatever, but I really like the remake, and yeah, I'd like to watch it again because there are a lot of scenes that kind of remind me of some of the things that happen in here. So, now that I just watched this, it seems like it would be a perfect thing to go on to, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to get some food and drink some Snapple. This is the drink I've got for me right now. Peach passion fruit tea, lightly sweetened. And my snack, you may be wondering. Well, right now I'm nibbling on Tim's Cascade potato chips, sour cream and onion. Cascade style, I should say. If you haven't heard of Tim's, well, it's more of a local brand here in Oregon. But they make really good stuff. What I really like about it is like their kind of kettle chip style. But most kettle chips are very hard, very crunchy. They leave them in way too long. Tim's, they don't leave them in too long. They're the perfect consistency, the perfect crunch. It's just perfect. I don't know why they can't seem to do that right with any other kettle chip, but for me, Tim's is like the best when it comes to that style of chip. So, I don't know. Anyways, if you haven't tried Tim's, definitely got to try it if you get the chance, when you get the chance. I know that they have a lot of they have some other ones that are more widespread all across the United States. In particular, they have the Hawaiian-style luau barbecue flavor that, honestly, I've heard people say it's up in Canada, it's all over the country. That is all over the country. Apparently Tim's, the stuff I just showed you, not so much. But yeah, obviously, if you have tried the luau barbecue, then you know it's pretty good stuff. The style of potato chip, the consistency, the crunch, you can come to expect that of everything Tim's. So, there you go. Anyways, on to the next movie.
And now, before the next show starts, let's enjoy an intermission. You'll find our snack bar chock full of good things to eat and drink. Tasty, tempting hot dogs, thirst-quenching soft drinks, fresh, crunchy popcorn, a complete assortment of delicious candy, and a full line of cigarettes. You've plenty of time, so visit the snack bar now. A tasty treat will double your enjoyment of the show. For your convenience, we shall keep you informed of the remaining intermission time, 3 minutes before the next show starts.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
The next show will start in 2 minutes.
Yes, Toddy, the chocolate malt in a can.
It's so good hot. It's so good cold.
It hits the spot with young and old.
Yes, toddy pleases everybody. Delicious chocolate malted toddy, made with rich, real milk, not powdered milk.
So come and get it, everybody. It's time to drink your chocolate toddy.
Just a minute, folks. Yes, that's all it takes to visit our refreshment counter in the lobby. There you'll find popcorn and an assortment of popular candy bars to please every taste. Try one of these delicious candy bars. Big Time, Butternut, Milkshake, Payday, topped with Hollywood's super rich coating of the kind you like best. They taste wonderful, they're delicious, they're nutritious. Get one at our confection counter in the lobby now.
Okay, we're back, and I have decided against watching 310 to Yuma right now. I hope to get around to watching it, but I had a better idea. The idea that I had was to watch something that would not only fill one requirement, but two requirements. Now, for those of you who are unaware, in my Western movie marathon, you can have up to 2 movies that fill the requirements of 2 of the rules and guidelines or whatever of my movie marathon. So in other words, you can watch a spaghetti western that's also a classic western, or you can watch a classic western that you haven't had the chance to see yet, but you always wanted to see, which is what I'm going to do right now. I recently showed you I got these, right? I got the Searchers, the Wild Bunch, and now the West is One. I've seen the Wild Bunch. I've seen parts of this, and I told you I intended to watch all 3 of these. I do, for my Western Movie Marathon. But the one I'm going to watch right now, How the West Was Won. Because it's a movie that I've always wanted to see, but haven't had the chance to see. And it's also a classic Western. So hey, it fills 2 of the requirements. And yeah, I can't wait to see how awesome it is. I've heard good things. The only sad part about this is I don't get to see it in the Smile Box or whatever the heck you want to call it. But you know, it's cool. That'll fill 2 requirements. Then I'll have my spaghetti western filled, and then I'll have my classic and movie I haven't gotten a chance to see yet fulfilled. And to keep me going, okay, it's not because of that, it's just because I like them. Red vines. Oh yeah. I know, they're horrible for me, whatever. I love red vines, okay? I love red vines. I especially love going to the dollar store and finding a huge pack for freaking $1. It's awesome. Okay. Enough with that. Let us start with what appears to be the overture of How the West Was Won. Alright. I'll get back to you soon. Peace. Well, I just got done watching How the West Was Won, the bottom one here. Never seen it before in my life, and honestly, not my kind of movie, but it was alright, I suppose. I remember I was talking about the scenery and how that's like a big part of what the Western is, and like wide, vast landscapes, always a huge part of the Western. Obviously, in this case, there are different landscapes than you might be familiar with. Not so much as, like, there is some Monument Valley in there, but not so much of that as there is of like a whole bunch of different landscapes. Heck, in the end there you see like a wide shot of the Golden Gate Bridge, and you see even a shot of like a metropolitan area. I mean, that's pretty, that's not something you'd expect to see in a Western, but it works, I suppose. Um, I really was not expecting that, I guess. And definitely there are some historical inaccuracies in there. Granted, it's not like a definite, this is how the West was won kind of thing or anything, but yeah, it's a story. But just like the way they treated the handling of the Native American influence was kind of, and especially since the title of the movie is How the West Was Won, I don't know. There's always some kind of an issue with Native Americans. Well, not always, but usually some kind of an issue in westerns, and usually the image and the way that they are shown to be is extremely negative. Now here, the Searchers kind of pulls off of that quite a bit as well, which is why I was thinking I'd watch that next. What do you think? Why don't we just go ahead and watch The Searchers and then The Wild Bunch? Heck, why not? The Searchers would be my American uh, Western. It was directed by John Ford. I therefore consider it an American Western. It's got John Wayne, John Ford. Bam. Problem solved. I don't care what you say. And The Searchers, for those who are not aware, of course, is a highly inspirational film. It inspired George Lucas in certain scenes of Star Wars: A New Hope. So, if you thought the Western wasn't so, important to the film world, then, well, you're wrong. And let's watch The Searchers and see some of that inspiration in action. Bam! Before we get going again here, watching The Searchers, I wanted to give you guys a better idea of what we've got going on here with this TV. The TCL 39-inch 1080p 60 hertz. I think the contrast ratio is 100,000 to 1. Not as brilliant as some of like 4 or 5 or 6 million to 1 or whatever, but it'll do. You don't really need more than 60 hertz unless you're watching 3D content, and it is beautiful. Honestly, this has just been a very beautiful TV so far. As I mentioned before, it does have a Samsung screen. TCL is a huge company, and they build screens for Samsung. And from the research I did, it showed that this particular TV utilizes a screen that they sell to Samsung. Now, that doesn't say anything about the insides, which are, TCL. But I got it for $299 on Amazon. And I got it because, of course, the other TV, which you can see down there, that TV is not busted, but it's got that line going down the middle. Pretty sure if I turned it on right now, it'd have even more lines, because when it cools down, those lines get even worse. Anyways, I knew then, I had to make an upgrade, and I wanted to make an upgrade, and I wanted to get something even better than this, honestly, but, I just didn't have the means to be able to do that. So I decided on the TCL because a good friend of mine, Eric, the Garbage Gamer on Geeky.com, recently he picked up a 32-inch TCL and has been raving about it ever since. And I saw it for myself, and I was surprised at how good this TV looks, despite the fact that it's like this brand you've never heard of, you know. I've heard people saying TCL are the new Vizio. Vizio, of course, being one of the top 5 brands of HDTV to get. I honestly have, after having seen this, kind of, I don't know if I believe that's 100% true, but I can see where people get that idea, and I can see how um, this could be seen as something that is, you know, possibly a company that may become even bigger in the United States sometime soon. They are from out of China. They do build their TVs out of China, but the thing about that is, it comes with a 2-year warranty, and people say, oh, you're going to have to send it to China. Nope. There are, like, depending on where you live in the United States, there are several locations where you can have your TV repaired or replaced or what have you, at least looked at in the United States. Particularly for me, the TCL dealer near me would be in Salem, Oregon, which, you know, hop and skip, it's like 2 hours away from here. It's not too difficult of a trek if I need to go pick it up or if I need to ship it there, whatever the case may be. And it comes with a 2-year warranty. And the way I figured is, like, I'll get a better TV when I have the money for it, when I can afford it, you know. But right now, this is what I can afford, so this is what I got. So now you know some of the story behind it. I basically wanted to do this Western Movie Marathon now so that I could truly break in the TV and truly sit down and watch some awesome, you know, beautiful movies and really get as much out of the 1080p as I possibly could. And yeah, I am absolutely loving this. Absolutely. So say what you will about TCL or buying off brand, but at least for now, I'm happy with it, and until I get a job and get more money, I think this will serve me well. So anyways, back to the movie marathon. Since we're having a Western movie marathon, perhaps it's time to have some tacos. And, you know, okay, so it's more like a Spanish kind of a meal. But it's currently Cinco de Mayo, so hey, why not? Anyways, back to the searchers. Let's see. And the searchers. Back into the triple pack. And the Wild Bunch goes into the PS3, which you can probably hear because it's getting, the fan's getting quite loud, which tells me I need to, like, not just dust it, but get like a can of air. Anyways, The Searchers was fantastic. I think out of the 3 movies I've seen today, that was my favorite. Now, obviously, like I said, I hadn't actually seen that yet. I'd seen bits and pieces, but I hadn't seen the whole thing. I hadn't seen How the West Was Won. I didn't like that one as much as I liked this one, though. The Searchers is just, wow, great. There's a lot of stuff going on in there, isn't it? I mean, wow. Like, we were talking about the whole racism thing, well, the whole negative depiction of Native Americans. And you see that again here, but it's not totally negative because, you know, and I mean, film scholars have pointed this out. It's not like this is a case again where it's total racism, because while that does exist in this film, you've also got John Wayne, who is a character who hates these Comanches, who hates Native Americans. Um, but this whole time he's writing with somebody who, while he will not acknowledge him as a relative, he's willing to sign everything over to him upon the eventuality of his death. And he's writing with this guy this whole time, who is 1/8 Comanche, I think, right? He's 1/8 something. He's 1/8 yeah, I think it's Comanche. Anyways, he's part Native American. Pretty heavy part Native American, you know? So it's like that in there, and then the fact that he speaks Comanche, and the fact that his nephew, so to speak, was like ended up getting married. I don't want to give too much away, but you know, I ended up getting with through hilarious circumstances, mind you, getting married to a Comanche woman, and he had no problem with that woman. You know, it's very much like apparent that there's this latent racism going on there, but you don't know exactly what's going on or why. And it's one of those things where you just don't need to know. It's not important to the story. All that's important is that it does exist. And, you know, I've seen some John Ford's films, and this one I think is probably one of the more powerful ones I've seen. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. So anyways, I'm about to finish up with this triple feature that I paid $6.99 for. And so far, so good. That's all I got to say about that. I don't know where the Wild Bunch is going to fit in, but I will make it fit in, because I love the Wild Bunch. It has one of my favorite scenes. Granted, obviously, I'm not as much of a Western aficionado or anything as some of you may be, or as some of my friends are, or, you know, some film scholars may be, but out of all the ones that I've seen, the scene in The Wild Bunch where Ernest Borgnine talks about the guy gave his word to the railroad, and then he said it's not about your word, it's about who you give it to. To me, that says so much about the Western genre in general. Like, that is one of the most powerful statements in the entire Western genre, and it came from this film. Speaking of which, can't wait to see that opening intro again. Granted, it's not going to be looking as good because it's got a pretty crappy transfer on this release, and I really wish they would do another release of it. A proper restoration. Doesn't have to be 2K, doesn't have to be 4K, but at this point, I mean, why wouldn't you do a 4K when you've got 4K TVs coming out? But the point is, it's a Peckinpah film. It deserves a little respect. And it just did not get that respect on this Blu-ray release, but still, I can't wait to see it and tell you my thoughts on it, on whether or not it looked that good. And honestly, The Searchers, while it looked alright, and it was definitely an example of one of the earlier films on Blu-ray that did it right, it could stand for an upgrade too. That's something that I say knowing that this came out in like 2006 or 2007, shortly after Blu-ray hit the market. So it was a relatively new. It's a pretty old Blu-ray. You know, it's one of the ones from when Blu-ray was new, basically. You know, so they were still trying to figure things out. And I can't fault them too much for that, especially since they did do a pretty decent job on it, and it still does look pretty good. And you can still see film grain just not as much as I would like to see, honestly. And I know that sounds snobby or something, but I can't help it. I mean, I want to see more detail. I mean, there's lots of detail, but I could tell when there, were scenes where there wasn't as much detail as I would have liked to see. So, I only paid $2.33 for it. I'm not going to complain, but I would like to see an upgrade on that one. Anyways, on to the Wild Bunch. Well, I'll tell you what, it is now 12:51 a.m. Almost a full 12 hours since I started this. And wow, this has been awesome. So, the Wild Bunch, like I said at the beginning of watching it, like, there's that line that I really like, but then there's another line that's also like very telling. Because this is a revisionist Western, for those who don't know what that is. Well, let's just say that there was a movement. The Western kind of stayed somewhat the same for a very long time until the spaghetti Western came along, and then the revisionist Western came along, where they added all this stuff in there that didn't used to be in there. Like, a lot of people think that Westerns have always been about violence. Not necessarily the case. Well, there has been violence, not nearly as much as in, like, the Wild Bunch, stuff like this. And, well, for instance, in McCabe and Mrs. Miller, it's set in a small town in the Northwest. And actually, the final shootout takes place during a blizzard, which you would not expect from a Western, but hey, it's a revisionist Western. Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid over there I was thinking about watching. I might not actually get around to it, because there's a bunch of other stuff I want to watch tonight, but that's also a revisionist Western. I mean, Bob Dylan stars in the film and does the music for the film, and, that's kind of interesting. There are a lot of interesting revisionist Westerns. They change things here and there, make it a little bit different than it used to be. But the line at the very end of the movie of The Wild Bunch is telling, because the guy says, "It ain't like it used to be, but it'll do." And they both just smile and nod, and the movie ends. And that line, honestly, is like about the genre in general at that point in history. It's like, it's not like it used to be. The Western at that point is not like it used to be, but it'll do. So there you have it. I told you I'd finish all three of these, and I did. How was the transfer of the Wild Bunch? Like I said, I knew going into it was crap. I didn't realize how crap it was. It was pretty bad. It was like, I was watching it wondering to myself, would the DVD have been any better, maybe? Or would it have been like the same? I'm pretty sure it's the same material. I'm sure it's sourced from the DVD, and there was no real attempt at any restoration. But if there was some attempt at restoration, they might have made it even worse. And that's what had me wondering, is the DVD actually better, possibly, than the Blu-ray? I don't know. All I know is that the Blu-ray, if you want the movie in your collection and you don't have the DVD and you don't want to go and track it down and pay just as much as you probably would for the Blu-ray, then yeah, get the Blu-ray, whatever. But Otherwise, you know, if you can find the DVD for a good price, why not? It's probably about the same quality, I guarantee it. So anyways, I got done with that, but I don't know where it really fits into what I need to watch. It really doesn't. It's just, you know, a little extra. Let's call it my revisionist Western for the night, eh? I know that's not a requirement. I probably should have made it a requirement, but no. I just added that in for my own fun. A revisionist Western. Anyways, if you're looking for other good revisionist Westerns, how about Unforgiven? Unforgiven is freaking amazing. But you know, I need to get around to those other movies on the challenge, and I'm definitely thinking I should watch some comedy now. But the question is, which comedy should I watch? Because I've got a few. I've got City Slickers, Maverick, Blazing Saddles. I'd like to say I have more. I guess this kind of counts. It's foreign film, but hey, the good, the bad, the weird. This is an excellent film. I plan to watch it for my, you know, Western from another culture. But I don't know if I want to watch it as, like, I could technically watch it as both my comedy and my Western from another culture, because it is a comedic film to a certain extent. So, you know, I could easily make it my comedy and my movie from another culture, because I still have one of those that I can use, you know. But I don't really want to do that. And I'm also thinking that maybe my movie from another culture should be The Proposition. This was shot in Australia, and it's about Australia. A Western in Australia. Huh, interesting, eh? So, yeah, I don't know which one of these to choose. I feel like I just recently watched The Proposition, so I don't want to watch it again really soon right now, but, I don't know. I'm definitely feeling less, right now, less interested in watching something foreign and more interested in watching something funny. And for me at that point, it comes down to these three. The City Slickers, Maverick, and Blazing Saddles. So, let's see. You know, I haven't seen City Slickers in so freaking long, and I just picked it up for $4. I'm curious about the PQ, so let's do City Slickers. Why not? Alright, I'm going to take a quick little break, probably 10 to 15 minutes. There's no rule saying you can't. You just have to get done with all the stuff that you set out to get done. All the rules, as it were. So, anyways, I'll see you after I've watched City Slickers.
Now it's showtime.
Oh, hey guys, how's it going? So, just got done watching City Slickers on the Blu-ray. And I gotta tell you, for $4, good freaking deal. Really good deal. The PQ was pretty damn good. Much better than Wild Bunch. Maybe it's just because the last one I watched was Wild Bunch that I'm like, man, that looked amazing. But no, it looked pretty good. I was pretty shocked. I always liked the sequel better than the original City Slickers, to be quite honest with you. But still a good movie, in my opinion. A lot of people think it's one of those stupid movies from the 90s that nobody should care about, but I like it. I don't got a problem with Billy Crystal. You got a problem with Billy Crystal? I don't have a problem with Billy Crystal. Mr. Palance is in this, of course. City Folk. Funny. And, well, he's one of the, he's one of the premier examples of the Western genre, one of the main names. Not as prominent as John Wayne and Clint Eastwood in terms of, memorability, I guess, the way people remember Westerns. But still one of those names that's like, yep, that's a Western. So anyways, yeah. Really liked this movie, and it was really good on Blu-ray. And now I have no idea what to watch next. Just watched City Slickers. Good time for another little bit of a comedy, so to speak. And hey, it's a comedy, and it's a foreign film, so to speak. So yeah, really cool movie. Actually, if you haven't seen it, you really need to see this movie. The Good, the Bad, the Weird, of course, I play on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in terms of the title. But the movie itself was just fantastic. Like, the shots, the scenery, everything is absolutely beautiful. And even though I just recently saw this, like, it's only been a few months, I swear, I still find myself saying, yep, I'm going to watch this again right freaking now. It's one of those movies. It's just one of those movies. So anyways, stop the talking, put the disc in, and let us get going. But first, I'm going to go get something to drink. Possibly snack on. I haven't decided yet. Anyways, you probably haven't been able to see me talk very much in this because my head's just barely popping above here. And I've probably been like this. Hey, how's it going? My name is Kilroy. Hey, what's up? So it is currently 3:11 in the morning, not to be confused with the band name. I've been up for almost 14 hours, and I'm starting to get tired. So maybe I should get something to make me not so tired. Maybe. I already had a Diet Dr. Pepper, but it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. So I'm going to go try something else out. Be right back. Okay, so we're back. And some things have changed, some things haven't. So anyways, I was going to tell you about something that I picked up to give me a pick-me-up for energy. It's 3:30 in the morning. And I have to keep going until 1:30 in the afternoon tomorrow. So one of the things I picked up, I actually got for free, was like a sale thing for Safeway members of the Safeway Club. If you don't know what Safeway is, it's a store chain. I don't know if it's like all over I know it's not all over the country, but I know that it's on the West Coast at the very least. So, anyways, got this for free, a Mountain Dew Kickstart. Now, I know these aren't technically energy drinks, but It does say it's energizing fruit punch, naturally and artificially flavored sparkling juice beverage from concentrate. We'll see how well it does. Should be a pretty decent pick-me-up. In addition to that, I got some more tacos to tide me over, some leftovers. And I've decided that instead of watching The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly right now, what I really want to do after watching City Slickers is watch City Slickers 2. Like I was talking about how much more I like City Slickers 2, right? And now I can't stop thinking about all the scenes in the movie that I like so much. So what did I do? I went on Amazon Prime, which I have, and found City Slickers 2 in HD, free for Prime members. Heck yeah! This is all about the fun, all about what you want to do, so I figured what the heck, I'm going to watch City Slickers and City Slickers 2. I'm going to be a real city slicker and make those two of my movies that I'm watching for my Western movie marathon. Who cares? It's fun. It's awesome. Why not? Why not? Can do whatever the heck I want to, and that's what I'm doing. So afterwards, I'll come back to you and let you know how it went. I'll let you know how this went. All right? So catch you then. Peace. All right. Here we go. Not bad. Pretty tasty. See, when I see sparkling juice drink on there, I was kind of wondering. But I wasn't too worried because I usually drink sparkling water a whole lot. So I figured, well, what the heck. I like things that are sparkly. And it's pretty good. And I'm already kind of feeling a probably not in any way related to the Kickstart Mountain Dew buzz arising. So hey, awesome. Let's watch some City Slickers 2. Well, City Slickers 2 is over. It is currently 5:28 in the morning. And I don't know if you can hear, but the birds are starting to chirp. And I can see light outside. I'm still kind of tired despite drinking that whole Mountain Dew Kickstart thing. It was alright. I don't know. It tasted alright, but it didn't really get me going as much as I thought it would. It kept me awake through the movie, and that was pretty much it. Thankfully, I've got some backups. I've got some Monster energy drinks, so when I get really tired, I'll go for those, and that will be that. I think for now I'm going to get some more caffeine. Just do it that way. As for City Slickers 2, what can I say? I liked it, and at the end of it I was thinking, they could totally come back into a City Slickers 3 minus Jack Palance. Although it really wouldn't be exactly the same, it would still be, I think it could be done, and it could be done in a good way. I don't know why I look back on this and I'm just like, this is a good movie series. Because it's really it's not really like the best movie series out there. Not even really one of the, good ones that you'd want to talk about doing remakes or reboots or sequels of at this point. It's just one of those movies that I have fond memories of, I guess. Really is probably my first introduction to the Western genre as a child, or at least one of my first introductions. And so, little wonder that I pick up the Blu-ray, and then after I watch the Blu-ray for the first one, I want to watch the second one. And the second one really, I always liked it better, but I can see why people don't really think it's the better of the two movies. Sequels rarely are, and while there are some issues with this movie that aren't really, great. But I don't know, part of me still feels like the second one's the better one, just in terms of like you've got the established characters, and then you bring in John Lovitz, who's a hilarious guy. I love John Lovitz. He doesn't do enough stuff, And John Lovitz, he's just a great guy. Um, I love a lot of the stuff that he does. A lot of people don't like. I don't know. I really like John Lovitz. I feel like he's a stronger character than Mitch's friend in the first movie. No offense to him, but I feel like John Lovitz is a better choice for that. And then you bring in Jack Palance again. This time not as Curly, but as his brother Duke. And he's even funnier in this movie. And then there's all these like Godfather references. Now, I had no idea what The Godfather was when I first saw these movies, because I was a kid, I was young, and like I said, this was like my first introduction to the Western genre, and well, I guess also my introduction to The Godfather, because I had no idea what it was. I didn't get any of the references when I was a kid, but still kind of laughed when they were humming the song in the cave. Still today, one of my favorite scenes of any movie. I don't know why. It's cheesy, it's corny, but it's still hilarious to me. Um, but yeah, that's what inspired me to check out The Godfather eventually. Above all else, that for some reason stuck with me. I was like, oh yeah, that movie that they were talking about in City Slickers 2. This is the business we've chosen. Anywho, I guess it's time to start getting back on the wagon, as it were, and watch that Western from another culture. Hmm? The good, the bad, the weird. Let's get it on. Currently 5:34. I'm gonna get something to drink and then start the movie, and there we go. Catch ya after I'm done watching this one, everybody. Look at my eyes. Do they look tired? It's because I'm tired. As you can see, it is 5:45 in the morning, and if we look over here out the window, you can see that it is actually dawning. Morning has broken like the first morning. That's from my lamp, like glare. Yeah, alrighty. Good to know. It's 7:55 in the morning. I just finished The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. It's not and, I'm sorry, it's The Good, the Bad, the Weird. Oh, fuck. I think I'm gonna need an energy drink after all. Well, I made it to 8 a.m. with only the kickstart thing and some soda. Go me. Anyways, I'm gonna move so that I can discuss the good, the bad, and the weird. But before I do that, I'm going to get up so that I can get an energy drink so that I can discuss the good, the bad, and the weird while being, you know, awake. Sound good? Okay. My drink of choice is the absolutely zero monster. I had to check and make sure that's actually the proper title. Absolutely zero monster energy drink. Mm. Zero sugar, zero calories. Which is probably the best way to go if you're like me and need to get as many calories as you possibly can out of your diet. So, you know. And a lot of people will say, oh, you're just filling it with other crap, and you're right, but I don't care because, you know, I cut out the carbs from soda and all the unnecessary sugar. Well, not all of it, but a lot of the unnecessary sugar that I was taking in. And, you know, despite all these findings that are saying, you know, it still leads to heart disease, it still leads to type 2 diabetes, even if you're using artificial sweeteners. I've been drinking a lot of stuff with artificial sweeteners, and I actually lost a lot of weight. Like, a lot of weight. About 50 pounds to be precise. So, even if it isn't, even if that doesn't mean that it's good for me, in at least one small way, which to me isn't small at all, it's rather significant, in at least one significant way, it has been good for me. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep doing that for the time being, because why the hell not? Mm. It's served me well to this point. And the absolutely zero Monster Energy drinks taste pretty good, particularly if you're already used to zero calorie drinks and artificial sweeteners and stuff like that. So, anyways, on to the movie that I just watched. I had to give myself some time to wake up a little bit there. As you could probably tell, slurring my speech and unable to formulate my sentences. Anyways, the good, the bad, the weird. Why haven't you seen this movie yet? Like, seriously, every time I see this movie, I'm reminded of why I need to get everybody I possibly can to actually see this movie, because, like, it's ridiculous that people don't know about this. Like, how do you not know about this? This is one of the greatest freaking films made in the last 10 years. If I made a top 10 list of the greatest films made in the last 10 years, bam, this would be near the top of that list. I guarantee it. There are too many amazing things about this movie to not put it on that list. The least of which is the intro, which opens up with what I'm pretty sure is either a 2 or 3 shot scene. I think it's only 2 shots, actually. I mean, they could have done 3 shots, but I think it's 2 shots. Where they show one of the main characters walking through a train and all this stuff going on around him, and they're just following him down a corridor, walking through the train for like about good 30 seconds to a minute. So I mean, I don't know, that to me is impressive. Like, a lot of people don't realize that when you're watching a movie, there are a lot of cuts. There's a lot of cuts. An average scene, an average, take is about, is usually less than 5 seconds. So when you see something, a take that's longer than 5 seconds, it's pretty important. It's pretty, you're supposed to take notice of the masterful artwork that is going on right now. And when you see that in the very first like 10 minutes of this movie, like the introduction to the film, and just the introduction to the characters in the film, like all of the good, the bad, and the weird, they're all freaking amazing characters. The weird is hilarious. The bad is total badass, and the good, like the kind of shit that he does, is just like wow. Like when you see the way he handles a gun while he's on a horse, when you see the way he handles himself in the middle of a gunfight, it's just like fluidity, like absolute fluidity. It's beautiful to watch. Anyways, perhaps the most impressive part of this film is what I would say, without a doubt, you know how I said top 10? This is like not even top 10. This is bar none the greatest chase scene that has been in any film in the past 10 years. I don't care what you say. I don't care what crap movie you come up with. Fucking Too Fast, Too Furious 17. I don't fucking care. There is no car movie or car chase in any film in the past 10 years that even comes close to the amount of badass that the chase scene in this film represents. We're talking about a chase scene that lasts at least a good 15 minutes. 15 minutes of the film is one freaking chase scene, which, I might add, includes not one gang, but two gangs. But not only that, it also includes the Japanese army. So, not only do you have two gangs chasing this guy, but on top of that, you've got the Japanese army firing freaking cannons at this guy, trying to get at him. Like, whoa. Like, this is an epic freaking chase scene, which, yes, you do need to get the Blu-ray to really appreciate how beautiful and amazing it is. And just, it truly fits the scope of the Western because, like, you see, you know, the Western is all about utilizing the amount of screen that you've got. From how the West was won to whatever, you know, to the Searchers. Whatever it may be, it's all about utilizing all that space that you've got correctly and, you know, painting a picture, right? So during this chase scene, you just see the full scope of this craziness that's going on, and it's just absolutely mind-blowing. The first time you see it, you won't believe it. I mean, it's really freaking awesome. You guys just need to see this. It's a Korean Western. A Korean Western set in, I think, the early 1900s? Maybe? Something like that. Anyways, very good. Very good movie. If you have not seen it yet, you need to see the good, the bad, and the weird, and I highly, highly suggest, even if it's a blind buy, just pick the Blu-ray up if you see it. Because this isn't one of those Blu-rays that you're going to find in every freaking store. So if you see it in the store, that's a pretty big deal, and you need to buy it. If you don't already have it. And even if you do already have it, buy it again for a friend. We need to get the word out about this. This is freaking fantastic Western. Korean Western at that. And yeah, I love it. I love everything about it. There's a reason why I can always come back to this every few months and watch it again, because it's just that freaking good. Even if you're not really that much into Westerns, the amount of action that goes on in this. I mean, just to give you an idea, I mean, I was really tired, right? So there were moments where I was like, the action dies down a little bit, and then woken up again because the action starts up again. Like, you cannot go 10 to 15 minutes without something really big and explosive happening on screen in this film. It's absolutely fantastic. I can't recommend it highly enough. So yeah, that's what I think of the good, the bad, and the weird. I love every single character in this film. I just love this movie. I can't believe so many people haven't heard of it, let alone seen it yet. Really is quite sad. Nominated for 8 Asian Film Awards: Best Film, Best Actor, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor, Best Composer, and Best Visual Effects. The visual effects, like not just like the regular visual effects, which obviously, as I mentioned, were freaking fantastic, but the like the CGI in this movie, when you see the freaking CGI in the openings, one of the opening scenes, it's pretty much on par with what you would see in a major, like, Hollywood motion picture nowadays. Like a 2013 Hollywood motion picture by Michael Bay or by, I don't know, by one of the big CGI movie guys. You know what I mean? Because the CGI really is good. There's not a lot of it, but the scene I'm thinking of in particular shows either an eagle or a hawk. I don't know my birds well enough to be able to tell. I'm pretty sure it's like an eagle. But anyways, you get to like get some really close-up look at this eagle, and it looks freaking real. But it's all CGI. It's all freaking CGI, and wow, like the little feathers moving in the wind. It looks freaking real. It's some of the best CGI that I have ever seen in what pretty much amounts to I mean, I'm not going to say it's low budget, but, a movie that not enough people have heard of. So, yeah. Anyways, it's 8:14 in the morning. Ooh, and I'm all awake now because of that. And I have to move on. I have to continue going, right? And I've got 2 more movies that I absolutely need to see. And that would be the movie that I have no interest in seeing, or have had no interest in seeing. And, well, because, like, the second you think of something, it becomes something that you're interested in. So, I should change the wording for that a little bit, I guess, and just say Western that you have had in the past no interest in seeing. Anyways, I need to do that one, and I need to do a movie based on a Western. Somehow based on a Western. It could be anything. Like, for instance, I was talking about earlier, Star Wars had some scenes that were based on the Searchers. That fits. There are a lot of different movies and a lot of different genres that fit. Heck, in my revisionist Western class, we were shown Fargo, Coen Brothers, as an example of something that could be considered, at least in some ways, a revisionist Western, or a movie that's based on a Western. Another good one, I guess, would be No Country for Old Men. That one is very much Western based. But I say go with pretty much anything Quentin Tarantino, and you're going to find something in there that is based on a freaking Western. But the one I like the most, and the one that I feel personally is the most Western, I haven't yet seen Django Unchained, and I really want to, but I don't have the Blu-ray. I'm sorry, because that would have been great for this. I know. But there's another Quentin Tarantino movie that he did before Django Unchained that is very much inspired by the Western that I do have on Blu-ray and that I haven't seen in a little while, so it'd be good for me to revisit. God, the lighting, the morning lighting is not that great for me here. Anyways, Inglourious Bastards. Yes, Inglourious Bastards. I have always said that this movie is a spaghetti western set in Nazi-occupied France. And I have had friends and idiots try to tell me that it is not. What the freaking hell is wrong with you? Or they'll nitpick and say, oh, it's not spaghetti western, it's this other kind of western. No, it really is spaghetti western set in Nazi-occupied France. I guess you could say maybe a revisionist western, but given the location, I mean, granted, it's not in Italy, but you know, it's in Europe. It's a European western, so to speak. Which, I mean, there's a reason I qualify by saying set in Nazi-occupied France, because spaghetti westerns typically aren't set in Europe. They're set in the United States, in America. But this one is set in Nazi-occupied France. Just so happens to be. And okay, so it's not entirely a western, granted, but there are scenes that are straight out of a western. The opening scene, as I've pointed out in the past on this channel, the opening scene is pretty much a shot-for-shot remake of the opening scene from Unforgiven. A lot of people never even caught on to that, never caught that. I don't get how you can miss that. It's fucking shot for shot. The scene in the bar, obviously, anytime you get into a bar scene, it's gonna reek of the Western, and in this case, this is a beautiful Western scene. There are just a lot of scenes that are very Western inspired, as you would expect from something made by Quentin Tarantino, who idolizes the Western, as you know, shown by his work with Django Unchained. So yes, I'm going to do Inglourious Bastards as my movie inspired by a Western. So no, I'm not calling it a Western for all you people who are going to freak out and say, it's not really a Western. No, it was inspired by Westerns. As a lot of his movies were. So anyways, I will get to watching that, and I'll get to drinking the rest of this, and tell you what I think about my, I guess this would be my, I don't know how many times I've seen it so far. Really don't. So, it would be a guess at this point. But, yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it, so at least a year or two. So, give you my thoughts and impressions after having not seen it for quite a while on whether or not I think it still holds up. Alright, catch you then. Boom! Well, it is 11 o'clock, almost on the dot in the morning right now. And I just finished up Inglourious Bastards. So I'm even more convinced than ever now that the amount of influence from the spaghetti western in this film is pretty heavy. Pretty heavy influence. Yes, I'm getting tired. Could you tell? And yes, it does hold up. This movie, I swear, every time I watch it, it just gets better. I don't know. I really loved it this time around, having watched a bunch of westerns before ahead of time, and yeah, it looked great on Blu-ray. I will say that it looks absolutely beautiful on Blu-ray, despite the fact that it's very violent. But hey, in that way, one could say it's kind of like a revisionist western. Revisionist westerns are very violent. Yeah. Which isn't surprising. The kind of westerns that Tarantino's probably more familiar with are the more violent types. And he likes to do fairly violent films. But there's nothing wrong with that. That's, I don't know. So long as you know how to process it, it's perfectly fine. Even if you don't know how to process it, I think people get a little bit ahead of themselves when they start blaming artists for massacres and whatnot. And so when Tarantino recently reacted the way he did to that kind of stuff, all I could do was say, good on you. That's exactly what I would have done. So anyways, it is 11 in the morning. Well, I'm almost done here, and I think I'm just going to finish it off, or at least get close to finishing it off, with the movie that I haven't seen yet, that I have had no interest in seeing until just the other night when my friend Dallin told me about McClintock and said, you have to see McClintock. Well, guess what's on Netflix? McClintock. So that's what I'm going to watch right now. And I'll let you know what I think after I'm done. Bam. Well, I don't know if you can read that, but it's 1:39 p.m. So, yep, I made it the whole way. And the last one was one I had no interest in seeing. Honestly, it's because it's the kind of Western, it's not a kind of Western that I'm very familiar with. It's not a kind of Western that I typically like, which is more of like a romantic comedy type of Western. You know, not as much action or anything like that. But still, there were some pretty interesting, funny scenes, and just the whole ideal of Americana in the movie is just, you know, it's one of those things that's nice to return to, or at least think about every now and then. You know what I mean? Because he's got this ideal of the way that America should be that I feel like a lot of us have lost touch of, you know. Watching that movie kind of makes you feel like a real Westerner. But I digress. I've been up for 24 hours and I am tired. But I wanted to tell you something. If I could keep going on watching these movies right now, I probably would, because I don't know, I love, like, the last time I did this movie marathon, I felt the same way. It's been 24 hours, but I still want more. I don't know why. I think it's just like I'm a big movie buff. I'm a movie fan. It's the thing that I love the most. I love film. I love movies. enough that I can watch it for 24 hours straight and still not have enough. Because it wasn't just about doing a movie marathon so that I could put it up on YouTube for you guys. It wasn't just about having fun. It was about taking some time to myself to do the things that I've been wanting to do for so long, for a month or two now, and have not really had the opportunity to sit down and do, and just taking a me day to do that. And, well, I guess in this case it would be a man day because it was Stoudman's day. It was Stoudman's Western Movie Marathon Day, and it was awesome. And surprisingly, I'm not that tired right now. I'm sure in like 15 minutes I will be passed out, but right now I'm feeling pretty good. But anyways, I wish I could watch more. If I could watch more, I would try to find some way to convince you that Lawrence of Arabia is inspired by a Western, that Lord of the Rings is inspired by a Western, that The Big Lebowski, well, The Big Lebowski is kind of inspired by a Western. But, yeah. And I'd watch Blazing Saddles and Maverick and all that good stuff. And I'd probably go on Netflix, and then I know they have Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid on there. I would totally watch that again. Maybe watch Shane, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. Try to find somewhere to watch Kid and Mrs. Miller. I'd go on and watch all the westerns I didn't get the chance to watch, basically. All the movies inspired by westerns that I didn't get the chance to watch. That I wanted to. Heck, I got enough in that list right there to do another 24-hour Western movie marathon. So, who knows? But I think my next movie marathon will probably be the most recent one that was done not by me, but I can't remember who it was. But yeah, the other movie marathon. The main gig movie marathon. But I just wanted to do this one, not only for me, as I mentioned, but also just to show you guys how awesome this movie marathon was, how awesome it would be, and inspire you guys to maybe think about doing it for yourselves. Because I noticed that nobody really did it, or if they did it, they didn't really tell me about it, and, well, I wasn't disappointed per se. I was just, I was wondering, well, is it any good? Is my movie marathon really any good? And, well, after having done it, I can tell you, yeah, it was pretty freaking awesome. Depending on how you split it up, you've got a lot. You can go either do it in such a way that it follows a theme, or you can do it in such a way that it splits things up enough that it'll be new and interesting for each and every movie. However you choose to do it, it's guaranteed to be awesome and a huge load of fun. So I highly suggest that you try it out if you had fun watching my Western movie marathon. If you're wondering what my shirt is this whole time, it's Cartman. Alright. Well, I'm probably going to go pass out for a few hours and then wake up at around 5 or 6 and then fall asleep again whenever the heck I fall asleep later at night and get back on a regular schedule, so to speak. That's my plan. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, thanks for watching. Just thanks for everything. Thanks for being supportive. Thanks for being great fans and great subscribers and great viewers. All of you. Thanks. See you later.